Well, let's throw everything at it but the kitchen sink. That's right, it is time for the wet wall design of our kitchen SketchUp tutorial. So if you guys have not ever been introduced to SketchUp, I highly recommend right now that you stop and go check out my tutorial series starting from lesson 1. I don't know exactly what lesson we're on right now, but I know it's not that. So there's a lot of information that I have put into some videos that you guys will be able to learn at a very steady pace to be able to start mastering SketchUp for the needs of your shop. So check that out. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. Be sure and subscribe to the channel if you like videos like SketchUp or even build tutorials. I do them all and I post videos every single Wednesday. Hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when I post new content. So let's get to it.
All right, so we're back at our kitchen design and we're going to make the wet wall real quick. I say real quick, we'll see how quick that actually goes. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the cabinets here that are with the oven and vent hood, and I'm going to make them a group. So that way they're easily moved. So let's just make this particular one a group. And we'll do the same thing with this one. And that way they'll all move as one piece. So all I have to do is tap on each one and the entire thing will highlight. So let's go ahead and turn on our move tool and hit our option and copy these. There we go. We'll work with that. That's 8 feet in between each one. Now let's flip them around to where they face each other. So we'll right click and do reverse or flip along green direction. There we go. Okay, so now let's take this crown molding. I'm going to explode to take the grouping out. Let's just hide this crown molding. Now let's highlight the cabinet and make that particular cabinet another group. So now it's separated from the crown molding like that. So I can just hide the crown, get it out of there. I want to copy this cabinet, put one side by side. Yep, that's good. Let's do another one. Okay. So now I've got those cabinets. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to explode this cabinet and remove the countertop just by hiding it, and then re-highlight the cabinet and make it a group. And then let's copy that cabinet, put it side by side, same thing. There we go. Now let's bring that countertop back in place and highlight it all and expand it all the way across. Now that expansion just happened with the push and pull tool, so that's pretty easy. So now let's take care of the crown. Now the crown might be a little bit more difficult, so I'm going to hide this particular cabinet because I want it out of my way for the moment. And I'm going to go in here to the crown, and I want to move this with the move tool. I'm going to kind of push and pull it away. So any surface that I want moved, I need to highlight. Okay. This one too on the back side. There we go. And this face all has to be highlighted. So now I can grab it. Let's grab it at a point where it's going to be right there, and move it. No, I'm missing something. Oh, the back side. All the perpendicular surfaces I've got to highlight. There we go. So now let's highlight and move that out this way on the green section. There we go, that's looking good. And one thing I didn't do is I didn't make it unique. So it affected this crown molding over here too because it was a copy of it. So let me fix that real quick. I'll be right back. All right, now I got the countertop fixed because I didn't do the same thing like I did with the crown, and it went over the stove and made a real long countertop, and had to fix it too. So now I got the crown all independent of each other. This one is now elongated, so that should be pretty easy to work with now that it's all separated. Now, what we need to do is let's first bring in a fridge. Let's put a fridge right here next to these two cabinets. So let's go up here to the 3D warehouse and let's grab a refrigerator. Trying to find something that maybe looks like mine. Here, let's do that one. It's close. Let's bring it into the model. Here we go. And of course it's backwards, so let's flip it along the green axis there. Now let's bring it in line with the cabinet. So let's move it and put it right here. Now this particular model might not be to scale, so whatever your refrigerator might be, you might need to fix that. I mean, that's 35¼ deep, so it's pretty deep. So let's shrink this one up a little bit. We'll use the scale tool and we'll bring it here in the middle and just scale it in a little to where it's more normal with the kitchen. Typically they're not countertop depth, but you can buy them that way. So just whatever your fridge is going to be, you can manipulate it to whatever that is. All right, so now we got a fridge in place. Now we could go ahead and put a cabinet over this one, and we can just bring one of these over, one of these groups, by copying it over. And let's snap it to the side there, like that. And then we can adjust this one itself. Since it's a copy, we can make it unique. Let's explode it, and anything that we need to change must be unique so it doesn't affect this particular cabinet. So let me work on that, and any of these model manipulations I have done in previous videos. So if you need to brush up on how to do model manipulation once something has been created, check this video out. It will help you out. So let me work on that real quick and I will be right back with you. Okay, now that we have the fridge in place, let's go ahead and throw in the kitchen sink. That was funny. All right, so let's zoom in here and kind of get where we want it. And we're going to put it in the center cabinet right behind. So let's go into 3D warehouse once again, and let's look up some kitchen sinks. Yeah, like that. Okay, download that. Say okay. All right, now let's rotate it on the wrong plane. Here we go. Just like that. To find out what the opening is, we're just going to set it on the countertop itself. So let me zoom in here so it'll snap to the countertop. There we go. And let's center it to the counter, or to the cabinet rather. So I first need to find out where the center of that cabinet is. We're going to use my tape measure tool to find that. So just use the face frame, kind of come over here to the underside of the counter. And right there. I don't think that's centered though, because that's not centered with, I think that's centering with the sink. So let's hide the sink. There we go. Perfect, 15.5, because I remember these things were 31 inches. So let's snap a line there. Let's unhide the sink again. And now let's center the sink. Now if I hold my shift key while I'm moving along the red axis line, it'll keep it from going in other directions. It'll stay on the red axis. So if I take my finger off the shift key, you can see that it's going all over the place. So I'm going to hold my finger on the shift key and then snap it to the line right there where it intersects. You can see a line popping right there, so let's snap it. And now let's move it backwards about, let's just say, oh, I grabbed the countertop. There we go. Let's move it back, let's just say 1.5 inches. So that is my cutout that I need to make. So let's just snap some tape measure lines right at the edge of the sink. There. Let's come over here, do the same thing. We'll start from over here. Snap a line. Snap a line. Now, I can push this back if I want to, and I would also need to measure what my sink dimensions really are before I go ahead and start making all these cuts. But since this is just for demonstration purposes, I don't need to worry about it. So let's hide the sink now that I have my layout. And let's go ahead and make our cut. So let's highlight the countertop, turn on our rectangle function, and snap from corner to corner. And then drop it down the thickness of the countertop. And let's bring it in for the lip, which is probably 0.5 inches and 0.5 inches. It's probably got about a 1/2 inch lip. Now, most sinks that I come in contact with are about 30 inches wide. So apparently the model that, or the person that made the model of that sink probably exceeded those measurements, and since I did not scale it the way I did with the fridge, it's exceeding the borders of my cabinet. So just measure your sink, find out exactly what the measurements are before you go ahead and make these cuts in your model. But like I said, this is just example purposes only. Normally you won't be exceeding your cabinet sides like this. So let's go ahead and get rid of my lines and unhide the sink now that it has its own little cutout. Now you can kind of see that the cabinet side is poking through the model a little bit, and that's, you know, to be expected. But I guess what I could do is just go ahead and fix the problem and scale it to size. But I'm not going to go ahead and go through that right now because that'll take too much time. So there is the wet wall. Normally the front of the cabinet here is a false front, so it makes room for the sink to go through, so that just attaches to the cabinet itself. The doors still work, so you can have access to all the plumbing, and this big opening right here allows access to the plumbing in the wall. So there you go. And if you have a window in your kitchen, you could remove the cabinet that is right above the sink right there and put a window in place. And it's pretty easy to do if you remove this crown molding, or you can scale it by bringing it into this cabinet and leaving this cabinet and importing this crown molding over to this one, so you'll have wraparound crown, and then just make yourself a window over here in the wall. So yeah, that's pretty easy to do to design your kitchen.
So as you can see, you can get really in depth with how you want to design your kitchen. This was just for example purposes, so I didn't have to be super exact, but you can see that if I wasn't, problems do arise, and using SketchUp allows you to fix those problems before they become a huge problem when you go to install them in your kitchen. So I hope this lesson series has been informative for you when it comes to designing your kitchen. So next time I will start on something completely different, and hopefully you guys will learn just as much as I do when you go along for the ride. So I will see you guys on the next tutorial series. Don't forget, you can check out all of my other videos that I have right over there. Click that subscription face that you see in the center of the screen, and many thanks to my patrons and tool partners for the support. I appreciate it. See you next time. Boom!